Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Arun. I'm a leadership coach, and today what I'm going to share is the 5 important ways to prepare for your people management interview. But before we go to that, let's talk a bit about what is people management interview, what it contains, and why it requires so much of preparation. Well, a people manager role is a very crucial role when an organization is hiring someone. Not just because that you have to lead a team, but also this is one of the most important position between the top management and the bottom team. That means how you work, how you ensure the strategy is implemented, how do you take care of your team in terms of motivation, performance, and ensuring the implementation of strategy is going to be very crucial for this role. So at any point of time, whether you are a first level people manager, second level people manager, third level, and so on and so forth, the role starts becoming very crucial as the ladder goes up. And every organization have or has got a very robust interview plan to find out the best candidates in the market. And in order to do so, they take all measures, not just by the interview process, but they include business case studies, they include role plays, and in some cases they also go to psychometric assessment tools to see whether you are the right fit or not. But before all these steps are taken, the first and the foremost step is the first level of screening round. After you clear the first or the second level of screening round, only then you get the opportunity to get exposed to the next level of interviews where the complexity increases with respect to case studies. So in this video, we are going to first focus about the 5 important elements that you need to prepare that will help you to sharpen your interview preparation as well as the confidence that you can exhibit when you are talking to the hiring managers. Now, one of the questions that comes to my mind that can be asked, that what makes you an effective people manager? Now, what you have to think about is, what are the basics of being a people manager? One of the basics is that you should be knowing your team thoroughly. So you can say something like this, that see, what makes an effective people manager is that how well do you know your team? So as I remember, when I went into my role, I first spent time with my team. I went to them having a one-on-one meeting by understanding what are their strengths, what are their challenges, what kind of ambitions, what kind of goals they have, what motivates them, what demotivates them, what is it that is troubling them at this moment, and understanding them thoroughly. And to do that, one of the very important skill is empathy and emotional intelligence. If I know how to exhibit that, I will be able to generate a lot of trust and good relationship with my team. That means what makes me an effective leader is, first is I should be knowing my team very well. And if I have to know my team very well, I have to have excellent communication skills, which involves good questioning, curiosity to listen well, and understand the strength and the developmental needs of my team. I have done that in my previous role, and that is why I have been a rewarded leader. Now, can you see that how easy it becomes to narrate that what is the way to understand your team and how it can make you more effective? Now let's move to the second question. The second question that comes in my mind, how do you manage your team with respect to performance? Now, in other words, the interviewer on the other side is keen to know that how do you manage poor performance or a high performance, or poor performer versus a high performer. Now this becomes a very important role as a leader, because a lot of leaders fail to differentiate between high performer and low performer, and most importantly, they fail to give a hard feedback to a high performer. Or in other words, we can also say that it is difficult to manage a high performer than it is easier to manage a low performer. Do you know why? The simplest reason is that people who are high performers, they are definitely running very high on their attitude, but they equally could be arrogant. Now, if as a leader you do not first of all differentiate between high and low performer, then you are trying to be same, and that same style will not help as a leader. Or we can say that as a good leader, to manage performance, you need to believe in a very old saying, different strokes for different folks. So if you do not give the feedback to your high performers in terms of their performance, in terms of their behaviors, you are not doing good to them, because sooner or later they are going to come on you. So in this question, how do you manage performance? You need to highlight your experiences, that how did you manage high performers, how did you manage their attitude, how did you manage their winning behavior, and likewise, how did you manage the mediocre performance or an above average or an average performers, and how did you manage the low performers. If you are conceptually clear about performance management, and if you can highlight what actions you took to understand the different level of performance versus attitudes versus skills, and then when you were able to segregate it, how did you bring the approach of different strokes for different folks, and how you were able to segregate poor performer out of the system, and how you rewarded the high performer, and how you uplifted the skill level of average and above average performers to move to the next level. Well, I'm sure this also would have given you some of the very important insights how you can help your team to grow, as well as to reflect back to the hiring manager that how deep you are in your knowledge to shape up your leadership skills. Another question that can come is, how do you become a successful people leader? Or they can say that I'm not too sure and not still convinced that what are the other factors that can help you to become a successful leader? Well, from my mind, one of the important factors of a leader is, and the core goal of a leader is, that how do you create future leaders within the organization from your team. Now, this becomes the most pertinent role of a leader, which many leaders fail to achieve. Now, in case if you are a leader and who has a team, and as I mentioned in my first part very clearly, that if you are able to understand your team's strengths, weakness, motivation, developmental needs, now you know that what motivates whom and what is their goal that they want to achieve. If you have that kind of clarity, if you have spent that amount of time in the beginning part of your first 3 months in your role, the most important keyword and a very important skill of a leader is to delegate their task. Now, a lot of people don't even understand what is delegation, or they do not know whom to delegate. So, when you're preparing for a people manager role, you really need to think about delegation. That how you are able to analyze the strength of your teammates, how you spend time in developing those strengths in those people, and once you saw that some people have reached the level of high performance or fully performance, how did you started delegating certain amount of tasks and roles which are very close to your role. So for example, you delegated someone to develop a young leader, or there was a very big project and you engaged and involved that individual whom you found has really shown very high positive results, who is looking forward to grow in that role. Engage that person by delegating a very important task of that particular project, by giving that person the full autonomy, and how in 3 months, 6 months and 9 months period you track the progress of that individual, and finally you were able to instill and develop some newer skill in that person. If you are able to reflect this in your interview, that how you took somebody from this journey and made that person capable, and in case if that person got further elevated or got higher recognition in the organization, it speaks about your leadership. It speaks about the kind of trust, the kind of credibility that you have built into the system, and that reflects that you are a great leader. I'm sure this example would really give you a lot of confidence. In case you are not doing this in your current role, I would highly encourage you start doing it from now onwards. Another potential question which I'm very sure will come into a people manager role is open communication, or about your communication skill. So maybe the interviewer or the panelist may ask, how did you develop an open communication with your teammates? How did you communicate effectively? What have you done in the recent past that because of your communication, you were able to make an impact in the organization as well as an impact on your team? A lot of people get confused about what to say in communication, because in India, the biggest myth in communication is that how well you speak English. That's very unfortunate. Or we are limited only about listening. We are only about talking about that how do we speak, how do we articulate. Well, an open communication means that how do you create an environment and a discipline and a process by which you are having a one-on-one interaction with your teammates by seeking feedback and feed forward. So let me give you an example. So let's say I created an open communication by having one-on-one meeting with my peers, with my juniors, with my teammates to get feedback about me, that what are the areas that I really need to work upon. And then I asked a feed forward that can you tell me that what I need to do in the next 1 or 2 things in the next 1 month that will help me to achieve that shortcoming or that developmental need that I have been told or it has been identified. So for example, let's say one of the feedback that I received from peers is that I'm a micromanager. So let me ask from my teammates that if I am doing micromanaging, can you tell me 2 things that I should do that will help me to overcome micromanaging, and should I be able to give more empowerment to my team? Now this has helped not only to have an open communication with my teammate, but it also brought a lot of trust in each of us by sharing our developmental needs and then what actions have we taken based on the feed forward given. I continuously did this process for the next 3 to 6 months till I achieved a particular set of change in my behavior measured by my stakeholders, including my boss, my teammates, and particularly my reporting team. Look at this, how simplification of this open communication can really create an impact the person who is listening to you for a people management interview. So in simple words, if you look at these small areas, you will be able to really give a grip of that, not only that you know the role very well, but you are also fundamentally clear about how you can run a team in a given situations of complexity and uncertainty. Let's take another question. I think one of the very pertinent question that normally people ask is, okay, what is your thought on how do you exhibit your leadership as well as your management style? How do you balance that? Or what do you know about leadership versus management in this people manager role? As I said, a lot of people are not very sure of what to answer it, but I'll clear and clarify to you in this video. Number one is, as a leader, I really need to set a vision. I really need to set a goal. I really need to set my eye on what I'm going to achieve. And how do I look things beyond what is visible is called as a visionary leader. Now, how do I achieve a vision? Let's say I put a target or a goal of achieving 10 crore from a market which is currently giving us only 2 crores. As an example, I'm saying. Now, that's a vision that I want to achieve 10 crores. Now, if I want to move from 2 crore to 10 crores in a year, what is my strategic plan to achieve it? Do I have a clarity of it? which means I should know what kind of resources would I need. I need more products. I need to increase the price of my product. I need to have more people. I really need to have a lot of programs, investment on the market to develop the customer, and what is going to be my game plan to overcome the competition and the changing role of customer in terms of their expectation. If I have this kind of a clarity, I am definitely going to be very sound and clear in the leadership part of my role. That's the role of a leader, to set the whole context in place so that you are very clear what is the journey from 2 crores to 10 crores. Now, the second part is called as the management. Now, how do I bring the management part? And the management part includes discipline, process, systems, that how we can create certain systems and processes to understand whether this vision is getting accomplished. How do I set my reviews dates? How do I set my input objectives so that I can measure the performance of each and every one without being there every time with everybody, but ensuring that there are some tightened process that will tell me that whether the action plan or the strategy that has been made, is it really converting into an action plan, and is it really going forward in the marketplace? And for that, I need to monitor whether people on the ground are very clear about what are the goals. Are they very clear about what are the quantity targets that they have to achieve, whether in terms of number of calls, whether in terms of number of units they have to sell, whether in terms of the strategy that which are the customers they are going to meet. All this comes under the management part. Now, as a leader, I really need to motivate my people by showing them the vision. I am using a keyword called motivation. I'm using the word called motivation to make people to believe that this is possible, but at the same time, I also need to monitor them through the process that I run. And that process will keep me tight whether I am deviating from my vision or am I deviating from the process and the discipline that I set. Now, having said that, let me tell you, a lot of leaders have a typical challenge. Either they become too much passionate about being a leader, they only talk about big things and they forget about what is happening on the ground, or some people become too passionate about Excel sheet, process, formats, reminders, setting up that discipline, and they forget the vision altogether. That is why a lot of leaders struggle to implement this strategy and they fail to achieve the goal of the role that they have been assigned to. So if you get this question, understand this role clearly of leadership and management, and tell how you were able to achieve those goals by using these two tools of a people manager to use at different times and at different intervals. I hope this brings clarity. Please do share your thoughts below in the comment section, and I can still go on and on to share more thoughts. So if I have to sum this up, I would say that a people management role is a very crucial role. Every organization is looking for leaders who can make the future leader for their organization and can ensure, who can implement understand the strategy, get the strategy rolled out to the lowest level, implement it at 100%, give feedback to the management and the marketing that what's working, what's not working, and also take care of the motivation of people, and by designing their entire strength weakness metrics. And that is what a core people management role is. So how do you articulate that? How do you share about it to the hiring manager? Can create a huge impact for your selection for this role. I'm sure this video would have given you a lot of insights and inputs about how to prepare for people management role. Feel free to share your thoughts and comments. I have a long other agendas to cover in this, but you can't cover everything in one video. But feel free to write me back on my email ID arun.thukral@hcnconnect.in. I'll be more than happy to share my thoughts further to help you to achieve excellence and your dreams together in making you a superb, excellent professional. Thank you so much for watching me. Stay connected.